So why don't you welcome Stephanie Pinto.
Thank you. Thanks. Hello, everyone. Welcome. You guys have made it this far. This is the end of the day. I'm going to put my water down here. So thank you for sticking around, because I know it's been a long day. Although the speakers have been absolutely incredible, right? Wouldn't you agree? I'm shaking in my boots because now I've got to live up to all these other amazing people who've spoken today. So let's try our best. Okay, here we go, my clicker. Okay, time, click, good. Okay, so I love everything emotional intelligence. You will get to hear that. Some of you, I've met you outside and we've had great conversations, and I'm so grateful for those. I love meeting people and I love hearing your stories, so thank you for sharing them with me. And yeah, I will speak, write, talk about, teach about anything to do with emotional intelligence because I love it and because I know how powerful it is for parents. I know how powerful it is for kids, okay? So this is all the stuff I love and do, but let me tell you how sometimes emotionally unintelligent I am. So you guys are not gonna please don't feel I'm up here preaching about all this stuff that I am like perfect at, because there are moments you're gonna hear. So please don't crucify me and think, who is this lady? So I've put a picture of a shower up there because a few years ago, I had one of those days where, you know, the days where everything that can go wrong does go wrong. And you think, okay, all I need to do is get dinner on, and all I need to do is get the kids in the shower, and then they'll be in bed and we can forget this day ever happened. Me. So my kids were young, they're now 7 and 10. At the time, they were probably, I want to say 3 and 5, little, but I thought I'll just chuck them in the shower together. At least they'll get wet, and I can put on, I think it was like spaghetti bolognese, I don't know, something pre-packaged probably. So I put them in the shower, and I said, just guys, don't be silly. Just let me cook some dinner, I'll get you guys out, and then I got stuff to do, I got work, right? So, started cooking, went back to the shower to just check that, they were alive because they were little. I mean, they were good kids. But when I walked in, I don't know, you know how you have those moments where just time, it stood still. I opened the shower door, so this was my ensuite because it was just easier. It has a nice easy shower for them to work and things like that. So I went in and I was like, right guys, you're kind of getting clean. Opened the door and I saw, so my son is older, so he's taller, and then I saw my daughter next to him. I looked at my daughter, again, I'm rushed, so I didn't, see properly what was going on. There was some brown wet stuff from her shoulder down onto her elbow, like slimy, wet looking brown. I was like, what is that? I took a second, I'm like, And then I saw some of it on the ground going down the sinkhole. And I've told this story a little bit before, and I usually get if it's online, I say, what do you guys think it was? People will call out, what do you guys think it was? I should ask. Everyone says poo. So it actually was not poo. So my daughter's hair is a little bit darker than mine, and when you get hair wet, it goes dark. And so I looked a bit closer, and then before I twigged what it was, I looked over to my son. You know how you're just like I don't want to burn the dinner. Looked over to him. He was holding, this is my prop, my husband's razor, and this was his face. And I was like, no. Yeah. And in that split moment, realized what he did, and I let loose. I absolutely gave it to him. I said, what the hell is wrong with you? Give that to me. I grabbed it off him. I said, what's wrong with you? You stupid. This is not, you cannot brush her hair. This is a razor. I don't even know what I said. In those moments where you go from 0 to 100 and you flip your lid? The saying, I saw red. I mean, to be fair, I don't think she had her first haircut yet. So I was like, anyway. So I said, no, I came to. And I looked at him, and he was now in the back, like backing away in the corner of the ensuite, tears streaming down his face, like, think about it now and I'm like, terrible mum moment, as you do, when, you know, you've had a day, you don't expect them to do whatever they've done, something naughty. And so I said, I'm really sorry, honey, it's not a brush, it's a razor. Let me put that higher up next time. And he was like, I'm sorry, mummy. And then for weeks afterwards, my daughter had these little spiky bits of hair on her, and I'd be like, trying to like, wouldn't work. And so eventually her hair grew. So that was me. Like, you know how those, we flip our lid, we don't think, we say and do things that we would never usually say or do because we love our kids. They're doing the best they can, right? They're little. I think he was about 5 at the time. So that is me being super emotionally unintelligent and letting the emotions get the best of me. Now, this was a few years ago. I want to fast forward to maybe 2 years ago. I had to get this, I couldn't recreate this for obvious reasons, but I had to get this image off Google. You can see what it is, although mine was a cup of tea because it was around the time of the lockdowns, which is when I was writing my book, which is when I got up early in the morning before the kids, because I wanted to be productive, because when the kids get up, you really can't do anything right. So I was smart, I got up early, I had a really nice cup of tea next to my laptop, I was writing my book, and then my son comes out of bed, same boy. I love him, I really do. And he came out of bed, he's like, Mummy, hi, good morning, you know, hey, you know, come. And I said, come over, give me a hug. And he did, but then he just like totally knocked my cup of steaming hot. I don't even know if I had a sip of it. It was so full, spread across the keyboard. Like, I don't know how much are Mac Apple laptops? I don't know, $2,000. Totally, and I was like, and so in that split second, this is the difference between, you know, the time that I had spent focusing on learning about emotional intelligence, understanding what it meant to be emotionally intelligent, which we'll talk about soon. But the difference of what I was able to do and not do when, like, I don't know, hair, $2,000 laptop, like, they're both, you don't want either of those to happen, right? So I quickly upended, you know how you can make your laptop look a bit like a teepee? So I put it upside down, I said, quick, buddy, go get the paper towel, hurry up, get something, get a towel, I don't care, go grab something. And then he raced off to get like kitchen towel or something. I switched it off and I was like, far out, like I don't need this right now. And so he came back, we mopped it up, he was like profusely apologizing. I was like, it's okay, it's an accident, you know, I know you didn't mean to, and things like that. So the difference is that I stayed connected to him, I got that he didn't mean to do it, which is the same as in the shower, but I didn't erupt. I didn't yell at him, I didn't smack him, I didn't say, what the hell is wrong with you? Like, I didn't shame him. I don't need to, like, he already feels bad. It was a mistake, right? I come back to this saying, it's not mine, but kids are doing the best that they can with the brain that they have. And at the best of times, even neurotypical kids, their brains are very good because it's not fully developed until the mid to late 20s. Mid to late 20s. So he's got a long time to go. He's 10 now. So I've got to be patient. So even with our teenage kids, even with teenagers, again, they're doing the best they can with the brain they have, right? They're not intending to push our buttons, even when it really feels like it, right? So big difference. I want to show you guys a couple of interesting images. If you can't see it, I'm going to read it out. It says, cocaine tooth drops. What year? It has the year on it. It's really small, 1885. So I'm changing tack here. Cocaine tooth drops. They were once, like, look at that, it's promotional material. You know, that we're being advertised to. At one stage, we thought, yep, cocaine for tooth pain, best practice. Don't have that anymore. This is very small, but it's pictures of surgeons washing their hands, scrubbing up. It says, wash your hands was once controversial medical advice. This was 1840s. The tiny writing, I'll read it out. It says, everyone knows hand washing is an easy way to stay healthy, but that wasn't always so. In the 1840s, advocating it cost a doctor his career. He was saying, you know what, I think if we wash our hands before we do surgery, we might reduce the bacteria and the risk of this person getting sick or dying. Surgeon said, preposterous to think that we're anything less than sparkling clean. They didn't listen. Anything new that comes into society, it's questioned a lot to begin with, right? That can't be right. So that people, anyway, no surprises that once surgeons started washing their hands with soap, the rate of people dying on the table dramatically reduced. And infection, things like that. This one, can you guys see what that? More doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette. Look at that. The doctor's choice is America's choice. Like, look at what we once believed to be right. The best practice, healthy, what we all should be doing. Medical doctors telling us this stuff. I don't know when that one was. Don't think there's a date on it. Last one. That writing says, nobody does it like 7-Up. Why we have the youngest customers in the business. Ooh, sugar. Go, 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 go. So this is painting a picture, right? Raise your hand if you had one of these bricks. Oh my God, everyone. Do you guys play Snake on it? The best game. I think Snake is like today's Angry Birds. I don't know, that's what people play. So I had this phone. My point is, would you be using the technology of like this, the 3310, would you be using that today? Or have we upgraded? And have we upgraded from, let me go back, all that crap. We've upgraded in terms of understanding emotions and behavior and the brain and the nervous system and ADHD. It's time to update our software. Our kids are asking us to do that. It's not fair to them that we are stuck in this old belief system, this old paradigm of, hurry up, what's wrong with you? I don't care, you lost your hat again, you're gonna pay for that. You know, why are you making a big deal out of this? Why are you so angry? Why are you so upset? You're being ridiculous. Why are you so emotional? All this stuff, it's our old software. It's time to update our software. Who agrees? Yeah. Here, like for parents, for schools, oh my goodness, schools, at least where I am, Australia, we have a ways to go. So I'm going to be talking about that today. Let's talk about emotionally intelligent parenting. What is that? So I've got understanding and honouring your own emotions, because none of us learn how to do that, right? We were taught to shove it down or to put it away, to leave it at the door, to just get on with it. Who heard things like, it's not that bad, suck it up, buttercup. A parent once said to me, they heard, I'll rub some dirt in it. I was like, oh, I haven't heard that one. Rub some dirt in it. I'll give you something to cry about. Meanwhile, the child's like, I'm already upset about something. I already have something to cry about. Whew. So understanding and honouring your own emotions and your child's, and your husband's and your wife's and your colleagues. Who else? Neighbour, you know. Really understanding that those people have emotions, ready, that are as true for them as yours are for you. This is a big takeaway for a lot of people I talk to, even just one-on-one, and we have this conversation. I say, we don't realise, other people's emotions and experiences are as true for them as yours are for you. don't fight it. Don't try to invalidate it. Don't try to say, it's not a big deal, it's just an itchy jacket, you've got to put it on, it's cold. Right? So understanding and honouring your emotions and your child's emotions in order to navigate them using healthy coping strategies, because we need to learn how to cope with our emotions, because we're not robots, right? We're human. We're built on emotion. Okay? And I often like to remind people that if we can get to the space where, for us as parents or educators, if we can truly believe that having emotions is as much a part of being human as having an elbow or a nose or a brain, then we don't have to be afraid of them or shove them down or fear them or detest them, hide them. They're going to come out. They'll either explode or, like me, you'll go the other way. You'll shove them down so well. And I was such a good girl, and I was very conscientious, and I did all the things, and then I developed such a strong anxiety that now I can talk about it. A few years ago, I would not have, but now I can talk about it. I would have fainted out cold on the floor when I got very stressed, overwhelmed, anxious, nervous. So before I did this work, I was a paediatric speech pathologist. Did that for 10 years. Even then, like this started in childhood, through to high school, through to into my 20s as a speech therapist, I would be fainting when I had this emotional overwhelm. I didn't know what it was. I went to see doctors. I was like, what's happening? I'm really fit. I'm really healthy. I played sport. It was the inability of me to handle these things called emotions. So I went inward. I shoved down, still as unhealthy and toxic. But other kids, some kids go outward, right? They explode. Either way, if we can start to dial up our own emotional intelligence, meaning we don't erupt when our kids do, we can handle it, we stay relatively calm, right? If we can teach them how to be angry, not to be angry. Because you're fighting a losing battle if you're trying the first way. Teach your kids how to be angry. What can I do? What can I say? Where can I go? How do I get this out? Teach them how to be angry, not to be angry. Does that make sense? Okay. One of the chapters in my book is the lessons we have to unlearn. And I want you guys to think about, what did I learn as a kid? This is the thing, you weren't necessarily taught it. My parents, my mum is here, who saw my mum on my stand helping me with my books, they never explicitly said, do not show anger. You must not be upset. They don't teach us this, but man, for some reason I learned it wasn't okay to be loud and to be angry or to show that. I learned it worked really well for me to have this certain type of emotions. It worked well until it didn't. So I want you to think about, what are the lessons, quote unquote lessons, that you learned as a kid that are not serving you when you feel those emotions now: anger, frustration, anxiety, disappointment, hurt, grief. I once had a dad in one of my programs, and he said, you know what, I realized I've only ever seen my dad cry twice. Once he turned around and hit it, fixed himself up, turned around and was okay. And he said the second time I remember as a kid, he raced out in the backyard. Left, went out into the backyard, said nothing, and then came back and was fine. So he goes, guess what I learned about being upset, being angry, being sad? Not welcome here. And then the other part of the story, he had his first daughter, and then had a meltdown, breakdown in the shower, thinking, I don't know how to. This kid has emotions and I don't know how to handle them. So I won't go into, but there's a lot of research now that supports raising emotionally intelligent kids and teaching them how to deal with these big emotions that are within them. Kids are balls of emotion, right? Who's got a ball of emotion at home? 1, 2, 3, perfect. Oh, look, 500. So we need to be smart with our emotions. Okay? By the way, it does not mean we have to be perfect with our emotions. I'm not perfect. I still have moments. We don't have to be perfect, but we have to just be smart about it, okay? No more shoving, sweeping under the rug, and things like that. Okay. So you might have some people come to mind. If this is a bit small, I'll read them out. I've put up some low EQ, high EQ. EQ, strictly speaking, is emotional quotient. So like the measure of your emotional intelligence. So you can measure it. People don't realize that. So someone maybe with you might think of people who you work with or neighbors, I don't know, people in your extended family. Sometimes people come to mind. Maybe they're unaware of their emotions. Maybe they're explosive. Maybe they don't have control over their emotions. Maybe they seem really self-centered, not empathetic to what you're going through. Emotions maybe rule them. You know, you get like blown around by the winds of what's happening. Energy vampires, new term I came across. Project onto those around them and no boundaries. That's a stressful place to live, and that's like a stressful person to be around, right? Have you guys thought of some people who fit some of that? You don't like being around them. High EQ, so people with emotional intelligence skills. They know their emotions, they know what they're feeling, they can use some coping strategies, they don't splash it around on everyone all the time. Self-aware, patient, resilient. I'm so much more patient with my kids. Whew. Empathetic, compassionate, boundaries. Yes, you can be really upset, you can be mad, you can be livid, but no, you cannot hit or kick your sister. No, you cannot call me a insert blank. So good communicators, successful and driven. Grit is the last one. So let me talk a little bit about the fact that our emotions and our kids' emotions drive their behavior. Right? Some of the other speakers have kind of mentioned some of this earlier today. So, when emotions are high, logic and language go low. Does that make sense? When your child is having a meltdown, I remember Rebecca at least talked about this, maybe some others did. When they're in that meltdown phase, asking them to use your words. They're not going to use any words. Apart from, I hate you. So I noticed that even now, if I'm having an argument with my husband and I'm really trying to find my voice and speak up and say my truth and not just, that was my go-to, inward. My brain kind of goes offline. I forget what my argument was and I end up just agreeing with him and I feel annoyed and anyway. But this is what happens in our brain. When our emotions are running high, we can't think, right? It goes offline. So if we're asking our kids to explain what has happened, tell us the story of why they were having to sneak 3 extra cookies after you had said not to, like that's not going to come out if they're emotionally heightened, okay? Something that I love talking to parents and teachers about is this concept of strike when the iron is cold. Have you guys heard that? We usually say strike when the iron's hot, yeah? It means like get in there, get it done, don't waste time. Opposite for parents and teachers and therapists, okay? Strike when the iron is cold. Do not, in the heat of the moment, when emotions are running high, do not go in there and try to problem solve and try to even negotiate or resolve that conflict or hear what emotions are high. You're probably going to get very little out of your kid. Okay? They're being flooded with cortisol, with adrenaline, they're stressed, they're upset. All you'll probably get out is, you didn't see that she started it and she took it and it's mine and you're always on her side. You're not going to get anything productive, okay? So strike when the iron is cold. I do have parents saying, this feels like permissive parenting. and like they're getting away with it. Like, I need to teach them that is not okay. And I'm like, yes, you do. You do want to teach them, but pick your time. Pick your time when they are regulated, when they are calmer, when their brain is now switched back on because they're not in fight or flight. Be smart about it. Be emotionally intelligent. I let my kids, when we have an argument or something goes wrong, I will talk to them about it later. Maybe over a snack. Maybe even tuck in at bedtime. That's the good time for my kids, because also they don't really want to go to bed, so if I'm talking to them, they're allowed to stay up. I'm like, okay, tell me what happened. And then I get to say, you know what, honey, in the kitchen today at lunchtime, when you were arguing with your sister about, then I get them saying, I know, I'm sorry, Mum, I was just so mad, or she just always takes it. I know I shouldn't have called her a butthead. And I'm like, yes, you should, but that's something. So pick your time. Like, this is smart parenting. Emotionally intelligent parenting and raising emotionally intelligent kids means we are picking our time and we're doing it to get the best out of the situation and to teach our kids why they can't call their sister a butthead, why they shouldn't sneak 3 cookies after you've said not to, why they do have to brush their teeth, and so on and so on and so on. Okay, last thing I want to say is that sometimes, who knows that sometimes they have added fuel to the fire? Oh, I can hear some mms, yeah. Sometimes we inadvertently add fuel to the fire. We make things worse because we get emotionally hijacked. And then we spew out, like I did in the shower. You know, we make things worse. So pause. Just buy yourself some time. I talk about circuit breakers. I didn't put in here, but I talk about circuit breakers. What is a circuit breaker for you to buy yourself a couple of minutes so that your brain comes back online? So that you're not about to just do what I did in the shower, yell at your kids, take the iPad off them for a week, you know, some kind of punishment. So we can do it, we just have to be intentional. Okay? Totally, totally doable. Okay. Ugh, no one likes this slide. I don't even like this slide. You are responsible for your emotions. Who heard as a kid something like, if you didn't draw on the walls, I wouldn't have to take your computer or your note or, you know, give you this punishment, or I wouldn't be yelling if you make me so mad. We're giving so much responsibility to kids who have an under construction brain around our emotions. No one can control how I feel. Their behavior might influence the way I feel, but I'm either allowing myself to erupt like I did in the shower, or I can handle my emotions. My kid now, if that thing happened in the shower, I would be like, holy moly, that is hair. Beautiful hair. Give me that, thank you. That is a razor. No. Everyone out now, shower is done. Like, then we would, you know, we'd be on with our day. I'd be mortified, but I wouldn't have that eruption. So you are responsible for your emotions, not your kids. And I'm responsible for mine. So as I said before, I'm making it, we need to be more intentional. That's why I said tiny writing, but let's dial up our emotional intelligence. We cannot teach this to our kids if we're not ready to start learning it and embodying it ourselves. Right? Imagine someone who speaks English meeting a French person and you're trying to teach them how to speak Mandarin, I don't know. It's not going to work. If you're not embodying it and at least starting to think about, how do I deal with my frustration and anger? Do I have some coping strategies, or do I just let, like, spray everyone, you know, everyone cops my emotions? That's on us. Okay. Have you guys seen the iceberg? Have you heard of the iceberg metaphor before? Some of you have. Let me explain with a beautiful story that sometimes makes me tear up at the end, so I'm going to try not to do that. I I was working with a mum a couple of years ago. Beautiful mum. I actually knew her through my therapy, my speech therapy days. And she has 3 beautiful kids. And her middle one, for some reason, I think she was in maybe kindy or year 1, really little still. And she said, Steph, I don't know what's happening. My beautiful daughter has started taking money to school without asking, like she's kind of stealing money. You know, it started out as a few dollars, then it went to a bit more, and then now she is even taking little bits of jewellery, nothing expensive, but like little ring or a bracelet or something. And I have told her time and time again, it's wrong, it's not, like it's illegal. You know, she said, I was trying all the wrong things. I was punishing her. I got to the point where I said, you know what, no lunch order on a Fridays. And that was like a big thing. And the behaviour continued. She said, Steph, I just stopped short of calling the police station in my suburb and saying, can I bring my daughter down to your station and have you talk to her about how theft is a crime and that you're going to lock her up? And I was like, holy shit. I was like, what are you doing? Stop. She said, I didn't, because I remembered what we had talked about. And this had, I think, several weeks. She said, what I did was got my husband to take the other kids. We organised a bath, just me and her. We got in the bath one evening, totally, like physically and metaphorically naked. Like she said, I was just going to be totally real, connect with her, say, honey, what is going on? I love you. You know, tell me something's happening here. And her daughter said, she said, Mum, there's a girl in my class who says, if you don't bring me money, if you don't bring me something, some jewellery, then I won't play with you and you'll have no one else to play with, ever. You'll have no friends. Which on the surface level, oh, she'll have friends. Oh, you know, she's in like kindy. But to a little heart, like a little human, that's like a death sentence. So she's going to give her money, whatever she can. Play with me, please. Don't take my friends away from me. So this mum, the point of this slide, the iceberg, is that if we are trying to squash the tippity top, the small part of the iceberg that we can see, the tip of the iceberg, if we're trying to squash that behaviour with a threat or a punishment or a harsh consequence, it's not going to solve the problem. You need to find out and address what is underneath that is driving that emotion and that behaviour. Because once you solve that, which she ended up doing, she had a conversation, then the daughter said, yes, we can talk to the teacher and sort it out. Behaviour, naughty, disruptive, rude, illegal behaviour, vanished. So we just need to take the time to connect with our kids and get underneath. What is going on? What's making this hard for you? How can I help? Tell me what's stopping you from doing the thing. Okay. The under construction brain. How cute is that picture, by the way? I love it. So, particularly for our ADHD kiddos, emotional regulation, still way under construction. Do you guys remember I said the brain is not fully developed till the mid to late 20s. How old is your kid? 2, 8, 12, 7. Oh my gosh. They're working with like half the map, if that. Emotional regulation, not wired in yet. They'll have bursts, they'll have moments. Problem solving. These frontal lobe skills, the last to develop, the last part of the brain to develop. Executive function, right? Problem solving, impulse control, perspective taking. So no wonder our kids will do the wrong thing, or they'll seem selfish and they'll blame it on others, right? They literally don't have the wiring that allows them to handle problems or disagreements maturely like we do. And actually we don't do it very well sometimes, right? Sometimes we blow up and we argue with our partner, and so we're not perfect either, right? So I think we need to understand, really, really absorb, your child is doing the best that they can with the brain that they have right now. That's it. They're genuinely doing the best with half the map, if you want to call it that, right? It is really hard for them to manage emotions, to regulate emotions. It's really hard for them to see all these situational factors and put themselves in someone else's shoes, perspective taking, to be able to solve a problem maturely. That's why they get in trouble for the same thing 3 times in a week, and you're like, I just told you not to do that, and then they do it again. So, I hope that sinks in. Okay, last sort of slide, these are my last few points. Here are some points, some ways that we can dial up our emotional intelligence. Okay. Before I go into these, I want to tell you guys a story. Remember I just said your child's doing the best they can with the brain they have, and it's not a very good brain because it's not fully developed, right? I remember talking to a parent during the lockdowns. So I'm from Sydney, and we had long stints like you guys did, right? And she sent me a somewhat funny message because I saw it from her point of view, but then the other part of me was like, ooh. She said, my son, who was probably at the time, I think, kindy, so like 6, right? First year of school, in lockdowns, home learning, hard for the best of us, you know, and I'm a paediatric therapist, so I should be good at this stuff. And I was like, oh my God, it's a cut colour paste. So she sent me a photo of her son in their lounge room, curled up in a ball, like, you know, kind of rocking, closed off, shut down totally. And I think she put the caption something like, all he had to do was a cut colour paste. Like, what the hell? You know, this kid kind of thing. And like on the surface level, you go, yeah, it's like it's a simple, you know, colour it in, 3 steps, you know. And then I thought, look at all the stuff that everyone is going through and that maybe he is going through in his first year, and he's in a ball on the floor, like not responsive. It just made me think this kid is probably in that complete, sometimes kids go through fight or flight. They're like, I don't want to do it. This is boring. You can't make me. We had that. But then they go into this like freeze or flop, this shutdown state of the nervous system where for me, this was fainting. That was the last, too much threat, too much danger, can't do it. The world is too scary, I'm out. For him, it's that closed, rocking, nope, too much. And so half of me was like, oh, I think I get where he's at. And he needs not a threat, not a punishment, not a consequence. I think he needs some patience and tolerance and acceptance and love and compassion, even though it's a cut colour paste. So, we're almost done. Number 1, what triggers you specifically? Because we kind of know, it's when my kids are really annoying or they explode and I have to separate them. But specifically, I get parents to think about what behaviours from your kids trigger you, what sensory preferences do you have? If the TV's on, the dog is barking and there's some arguing and then the lawnmower, like what specifically triggers you? If you don't know your triggers, how are you going to take any steps to actually start to notice them or to circumnavigate them or to control them so that you don't do what I did in the shower and erupt? So think about what specific things do they do or say. It's different for everyone. Second thing, respond, not react. Way, way harder than it sounds. Responding thoughtfully, intentionally, calmly versus reacting and just flipping your lid at them. It takes self-discipline. Not going to say it's easy, but you can do it. Any behavior can be learned and unlearned, right? That's the beautiful thing about having a brain. It's neuroplasticity. I talked about strike when the iron is cold. Who likes that? Who's going to remember strike when the iron is cold? How good is it? Remember, it's smart parenting. You are not being permissive. You are not letting your kid get away with it. You are choosing your time to have that discussion about what just happened and why they can't do that or why they need to go there. and so on. And modeling coping strategies. I think a lot of us we don't have time. I'm not going to cope. You know what, I'm busy, I'll deal with it later. I'll scroll, I'll jump in the car, or I'll get back to my emails. We don't take the time to model, how do I deal when I'm really frustrated or angry? How do I deal with grief or disappointment? You can openly model that. Talk to your kids about it. So last one is discipline, don't punish. The difference between discipline and punishment, we kind of think they're the same thing. Discipline comes from the word to teach. A discipline is a disciple is a student or a learner, right? So yes, I discipline my kids all the time, every day. I teach them heaps. I don't punish them. Punishment is, you've done the wrong thing, I'm going to make you suffer. It's retribution. I'm going to make you wish you hadn't. Discipline is, you've done the wrong thing, let me teach you why you do need to do this or why you cannot do that. Teaching, not punishing. Make sense? I am so grateful. If you guys want to get in touch, please have a conversation with me. I'm so grateful that you have all come today. You guys are like ahead of the curve because you have come here and you're putting you, yourself, your family and your kids first. And so I want to say thank you to making it to the end of the day and have a wonderful rest of your afternoon.